Yo, what up? Welcome to AutoQ. This is Josie, and we're back with another book video. Does anybody remember? I used to do book videos. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you, if this is not your first time here, then please hit subscribe. My upload schedule is pretty erratic, so you'll know that you'll get the videos right when I will post them. But without further ado, this is what I read in October, November, and probably December. And the first book I read, or the first one I'm going to talk about, is Shine by Jessica Jung. Jung, and she's a former member of Girls' Generation, or SNSD. Everybody was waiting for that book. Everybody wanted it to be a tell-all about Korean pop industry, and of course when it came out I ordered it from Google Play right away, and it's a glorified fan fiction. I'm sorry, but I don't know if she used a ghostwriter, and if she did, then she should have picked better. But it's basically a love story about a trainee and an established idol who is like the heartthrob of Korean pop industry, Jackson, Jeremy, no idea, some kind of J name. He's completely forgettable, but what we follow is that there's this girl who wants to debut. She has a sister just like Jessica, and we see a lot of parallels between Jessica's life and this main character's life. There were some things I get that can be sensational, but if you have been in K-pop industry or fan of K-pop for over a decade, then there's really nothing that stood out for me. Maybe how they practice singing by sitting in the corridor and the teacher is hitting the person in the stomach because that somehow helps to sing. Well, it's basically abuse. But yes, everything about the weigh-ins, how closely they are monitored and stuff like that. I think that the only place in the book where I felt that Jessica came through was when a female idol gets dropped by her company, and how she rants about the double standard in the industry that punishes women for dating and kind of lets the men slide a bit, or just gives more rights and opportunities for men. I felt like this one place where that woman was ranting while drunk was very real, and I wish more of that story or that book would have been like that. We do get a sequel, which is completely unnecessary, but I guess they want to milk it as long as they can, so just read the fanfiction. The second book is something that I don't have with me either, and it's because it was a webtoon or manhwa, but it was so long that I will count that as a book, and it was called Here You Are, and it's by DJun, and it's so gorgeous. If I still had my Tumblr, I would reblog everything from that. It's just the composition, the colors, the feels. Oh, I cried so many times there. The plot is that a freshman comes to the university, and he's very closed off, doesn't talk to anybody, but there's a senior there who is out and who just wants to friend everybody, and he befriends that person, and slowly their relationship starts to develop, and it was not your usual like love story between two hot guys. because I felt it was very true to our age, and it tackled the homophobia, the internalized one, and the one that society carries. It tackled their relationship with their parents, and it didn't try to sugarcoat anything. So I can't link it to you. You'll have to search for it because I don't want to go to jail, but wow, it was really something, and it's still kinda ongoing. They have side stories, but ooh, I cried so much. It's so good. It's so pleasing to the eye that, yes, super good read. If you find it, read it. Now, for more traditional books, I will start with something I finished in the beginning of October, so I have very few memories of it, and it's The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. And I have read from her one of my favorite series of all time. N.K. Jemisin wrote the Broken Earth trilogy, which was one of the highlights for me from last 2 years, and it's very unique concept about people who can move basically the earth, the llamas, the I don't know, sandstone, stuff like that. Very well thought out story with very good female characters. Now for this, it's also part of the series, and the premise is that a young woman gets called to the capital, to the nation that rules the land. She's made aware that she's in the running to become the next ruler, but of course there is subplots, and she's befriended by gods. Now in this world there used to be several gods, but after a war between them, only one god reigns supreme, and the others have been made slaves to this ruling nation. And when she gets there, she's befriended by these enslaved gods, and they use her to try to do a coup, basically. It is odd. It is not action driven. I felt that there was something always happening, but when I think back, there wasn't that many action scenes. It's mostly just peeling the layers of the onion to discover what's inside. I liked that it had two really interesting god characters that I wanted to know more about. I wanted to know that what's their end game was. The main character was fine, strong, but not like stupidly strong, still very much dependent on her human body and emotions. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up the second book. This is what came before the Broken Earth trilogy, and I really feel that the author has grown a lot in the years. It's funny that you think that you knew an author, and then they write something else, and you're like, oh, so people do have other parts to their personality. I'm going to check out the summary for the second book and see if it interests me. Now, another young adult book that I read was Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and this, first of all, this is stunning. This is so gorgeous. This made me pick it up. And then when I went on Goodreads to look up information, it said that it's a horror LGBT kind of story. And I would say that it's environmental horror that features girls, and some of them, as a very subplot, are into each other. But let's talk about it. It reminded me a lot of these two books. So first of all, Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation, which is environmental horror thriller story, and second of all, The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh. And in this book, there was like this post-apocalyptic world where people are stuck on an island, and the feeling of being stuck and oppressed is very, very prevalent. Now, let's talk about this. It starts with girls who are stuck in a boarding school on an island because something went wrong with the island and they had to be put in quarantine. The nature around them started to change, started to get more violent, started to mutate, and so do the girls. Half of them have died during this 1.5 year period. The others have weird mutations like 2 spleens or stuff like that. And it's very oppressive feeling that you get reading this book. And the status quo has been like that for a long time. But then one of the main girls gets really sick, and things spiral from there, ending with basically, oh well, I can't tell you. Sorry. It's very interesting. I would say that I'm very curious about this genre of environmental horror, based on these 2 books that I have read. It's something that is scary in our world. Very cool book. Different, and I think that if you're a young adult and you want something different that's not like princesses and vampires and whatnot, then check it out. Next one is one of the series I'm reading, the Expanse series. It's Abandoned Skate. It's the 3rd book from the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, which is 2 authors whose names I can't remember. But yes, these are 2 guys writing this, and last time we saw the protomolecule coming from Venus and making a big ring near, I want to say, Uranus. Or Neptune, somewhere, and now everybody is monitoring it, and of course the Rocinante crew will somehow go through it, and then this book tackles what happens on the other side. And there are Earth fleets, Mars fleets, there are them, there are the alien life forms, kind of, sort of, and oh, it's so good. It's so fast-paced. It's so interesting. You don't know what's going to happen. And reading this, I realized that it's all very human-driven. The aliens are just there in the background and being scary and putting up like challenges, but it's all about human emotions, human characters, how they interact with each other, how they act under pressure. I love this series. Definitely, I suggest you pick it up, and I really want to see the series now, but it's on Amazon Prime, so but yes, very good edition, liked it a lot, and can't wait to pick up the 4th one. And the last book I'm going to talk to you about is something that I hoped would be good, but that blew me completely out of this world, yes? Right down to the hell. And it's called The Library of Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. And do you miss Buffy? Do you miss, what was that? Not Lost Girls. Any of those cool TV shows where there are like demons, you go to different worlds, you have these subplots, but then the main plot, and just all the characters are so cool. There are tropes, definitely tropes, but they are tropes done well. And if you miss any of that, then this is the book for you. It's like the best TV show. But what is it about, you ask? I hope you... I assume. Now, it starts in hell, and in hell there's a library, because this is the place where all the unwritten books are kept. Some of them have never been written, some of them are still waiting to be written, and demons go there to read the books because they like human emotions and they can somehow like feed on them. And this library has a librarian, of course, called Claire, and she's a badass. And she goes to chase down a book who has escaped, taken a human form, goes to the world, chases it down, and somewhere along the way they discover a really weird piece of a book, a page of a book. And it is nothing like they have seen. It is revealed that it's written by Satan himself. So Satan doesn't write books. He's not he's not an author. But this page is like so evil, and there are like only 10 pages in the world, and they going to have to chase those 10 pages down. So there's Claire. There's the book they chase down, who is now a human, who says that to call him a hero. Trope, but done so well. Then there's a demon who is like this lanky teenager who's not really a demon, but also like they have a nice chemistry between him and the hero. And then there's a librarian's helper, who is a muse, who has like blue or green hair and tattoos and like all that good stuff. And it's revealed that not only is there a library in hell, but in other worlds too. In Valhalla, they go to Valhalla. There's one in Egypt. There's several ones that have died, where they get stuck in one. And oh, it is so good. I can't explain. The first like 20 pages are, in my opinion, gibberish. I don't understand anything, but I'm glad I stuck with it. And this whole world that is, the whole world that opens up is just, mwah, just. If you miss a good TV show that tackles all those things, then this is it. And I really hope that it does get made into a TV show. So these were the books I read during the last few months of 2020. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like to help me out, and subscribe again. I hope you have a nice end of the year. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye!